Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is Jason with Suburban Adventures, and today we are talking about choosing the fishing reel. Now, I'm going to start a new series here at Suburban Adventures called Fishing for Beginners. I already have one video. I'm going to create a playlist. I got one video in that playlist on whether or not you want to go with a tackle box or a backpack. The purpose of these videos is to just give you a very basic information if you're starting out fishing and maybe you have no idea where to begin, and just to help you sort through all the equipment and stuff that's out there. That I'm going to try and boil it down as simply as I can for you if you're starting out this fishing hobby. So there's lots of different types of reels, right? So now the reel is what you're actually turning to reel in the fish. You've got the reel and the rod. We're just going to focus on reels today. In another video, I'm going to talk about rods. We're just sticking to reels today. Now, I have four basic reels for you right here. This is your spin casting reel. This is your spinning reel. And then this is what's known as your bait casting reel. And then the fourth one over here is, this is your fly fishing reel. Okay, so if you're just beginning, you're probably not going to get into fly fishing. If you are, I don't even really fly fish, so you're going to have to find some other videos. So we're just going to put that one aside, and we're going to talk about these other three. So my goal basically is here, I'm going to try and keep this quick, is talk about each of these three, the advantages, the disadvantages of them. And then I'm just going to talk about what I would recommend if I were you just starting out fishing. So let's move from sort of which reel is, I guess you'd say, the simplest, easiest to the most complex. Okay. Now this right here, what we have here is called a spin caster. Okay. Now the spin caster is probably going to be your most basic. And if you're just starting out, this is the one that I am going to recommend for you. Okay, now you got some basics here of the spin casting reel. You've got, this is where the reel hooks onto the fishing pole, and I'll show you just that in just a minute. This is the thumb button, okay? This is the reel handle. Now, one of the problems with them is this one's been through a lot. It doesn't crank real well. So that's one of the issues with one of these spin casters, is they tend to break down pretty quickly. Okay, you have the cover and then you have the drag here. Now again, drag is something that I am going to get into in another video. I could spend 20 minutes talking about drag. So I am not going to talk about drag, but each of these reels do have their own sort of different drag, how you set your drag. How about that? Okay, now the advantage to this, right, is it's very simple. Here I have one on an actual fishing pole. All right, if you're just starting out, the advantage of this is it really simplifies everything that you need to focus on, okay, to really only one thing, right? You push the button down, let it go as you cast, okay? That's it. Real easy. Okay, if you've ever seen anybody fish with one of these, it's a beginner. It's very easy to pick up, right? So you got your line on there, let it go as you're releasing it. Okay, what this is going to allow you to do is just focus on the motion of casting and just working on getting your bait or your lure out there. Okay. The disadvantage to these is they don't hold up real well. You generally can't put very heavy line on there. They do tend to get jammed up, rusted out. If they get all stuck in there, you can see this guy. If you can zoom in on this, this thing has been through a lot, and it's kind of jammed up in there. They tend to not last long, and they're usually maybe a little cheaper quality. Now the good news is that you can easily get into fishing very affordably with one of these reels. And generally with one of these, you're going to be able to even find reel rod with line already on it. Very affordable. and you just head out to your local waterway, buy some worms, and you can start fishing. So they really are meant for the beginner, and there's almost no learning curve on them. The next one is this called the spinning reel. Now, this one is going to sit on top of your rod like this, okay? The spinning reel is going to sit underneath, okay? And the spinning reel has a little bit more involved. So here's the foot. This is where it hooks into the pole, all right? You've got the handle, okay? So you're going to be probably reeling it in. You can switch them to either left hand or right hand. That's real simple to do. Here's your drag right here. Most of these have on the spinning reel have your drag right there. This thing right here is called the bail, okay? And then you've got this right here is the spool, which is where you're going to put your line on there, okay? This is open, so you can mess with it a little bit easier if you have to, as opposed to this. And as far as the learning curve goes, there's a little bit more of a learning curve to this than there is to the spin caster. This is how it's going to look set up. So again, it's underneath, okay? And what you're going to be doing with this one, and why I say there's a little bit more of a learning curve, is there's a little bit more to it. When you go to cast out, you're going to flip the bail out. Okay, then you're going to hold the line, and this can be either done with two hands, starting out two hands, and then as you cast, you're going to let go of the line as you cast. Okay? Then most of them, once you start cranking it, the bail will close shut. Generally, they recommend close the bail yourself and then reel in. Okay, so there is a little bit more to it. It's a little bit more involved as you're trying to figure out, how to cast. But it's a little bit more involved. It's going to take you a couple times out to get the hang of it, whereas the spin caster, you're going to pick it up right away. Personally, my favorite is this one. I love the spinning reel. And lastly, you got the old bait caster. Now, this has the most learning curve to it. This is going to take you quite a bit to learn. It's probably going to take you maybe a whole season to figure it out. I've tried it a couple times. I did a video. This is actually the one I got from Temu. It was, I think, like $15 or something. It's more technical. There's a lot more to it. A lot of people prefer these. You can put heavier line on it. You can cast further. You can cast with more accuracy. But personally, everything that I need to do, I can do with the spinning reel. So it's got some components to it. It's got the reel handle. It's got the foot, which is where it connects. It's got your drag right here. It's got the spool, but then it's got a few other things I'm not even going to get into. It's got a brake, okay? And essentially what you're doing with a bait caster is you need to sort of control how much line comes out using your thumb. And if you know anybody that talks about like getting a bird's nest, it's when everything gets all bunched up here in the bait caster. I'm not going to go too much more into bait casters because, one, I don't know a ton about it, and if you're a fishing beginner, this is not something that you're going to want to start out with. Okay, it might be something that you want to get. You could find one cheap on Temu and just practice with it. But if you want to get out and just start fishing, this is what you want to go with. You really want to pick up one of these spin casters. It's going to do you just fine. You can get the spin caster with the rod already spooled up with 4-pound line or whatever, and you're going to be just fine with this. Okay. So, fishing for beginners, find one like this with the button and just go out and practice casting. You can get some worms, go out to your local lake or river. Probably a good chance you're going to catch something. If you want to then upgrade after you've gotten the hang of this, upgrade to the spinning reel. Okay? If you have any further questions, you can comment down below. If you could give a thumbs up, that would be great. It helps get the video out to more people. You can also check out my playlist, which is Fishing for Beginners. Like I said, I only got 2 right now. This is the second one. I'm going to try to add to that and just try to make it a resource for you if you're starting out as a beginner wanting to get into fishing. You can certainly go ahead and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. We really appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you next time.